police work, but tonight the voice of a stabbing suspect may prove to be a common link in several cases. Doug?
Well, a St. Paul man was charged today with stabbing an 18-year-old girl Saturday morning. Tonight, the police are trying to link him to similar stabbing cases. Karen Boros has the story.
Police say 18-year-old Mary Gross had attempted to hitchhike early Saturday morning when she was picked up and allegedly attacked by Paul Michael Stefani, age 37. Gross received multiple stab wounds in the confrontation.
Today, Stefani was charged with attempt second-degree murder and second-degree assault. Because of the similarities in this case and other Minneapolis and St. Paul cases, investigators consider Stefani a suspect in these cases also.
As having told Dresser France, don't ship the compressors.
Yes, absolutely.
So Dresser France is going off in its own direction now.
Right. We've done everything that we can at Dresser in the U.S. to comply with President Reagan's order.
Dresser sent its attorneys to court today in an effort to make sure President Reagan would not punish the firm for defying his order. But a federal judge turned them down and left Dresser Industries liable for potential fines and other penalties for violating the president's embargo. Doug?
Well, the Reagan administration is declaring an end to the days of double-digit inflation. The Labor Department said today consumer prices rose 0.6% in July, and that translates into an annual inflation rate of 7.3%. Optimism continued to boil over on Wall Street today, but for the first time since the big surge began last week, the Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the day down just over 16 points. Volume remained heavy, however. It was the second busiest day in stock market history. Factory layoffs continue in the Twin Cities area.
Next Monday, 300 people from Whirlpool's East St. Paul plant will file for unemployment compensation. The company cited low freezer sales for the reason, and none of the 300, all told there are nearly 1,000 employees at the plant, was told when, if ever, they would be called back. Employees at WTCN television channel 11 were told today that the ownership of their company has been sold to the Ganett Publishing, one of the country's largest media chains. Tom Hendrick has the story.
Promoted as the ones to watch, 11 hasn't lived up to its billing. Metro Media ran up large bills supporting the station, known as one of the least profitable network affiliates. Ganett, which already owns 20 radio and TV stations, promises to increase WTCN's commitment to viewers. What that means for present employees is uncertain.
Are they going to clean house or are they going to keep us? And the bottom line is, we don't know.
That's what worries me, Nancy, is that, you know, in the pecking order of things, I suppose, they always start at the top. We'll be the first to go.
If they start at the top, it will take them so long to get to us, we could be into another ownership.
On the air and off, the sale was what's new and what that means for employees. Metro Media says jobs are safe at least until Ganett takes over in about a year. Officials say the 2 weekend newscasts recently scrapped were not in anticipation of the sale.
We wanted to put our total effort to giving a full-fledged news at the 10 o'clock time period.
But there won't be any cutbacks in other news shows?
No, not at this time.
News employees are optimistic there will be a new infusion of blood to the operation, which has been a consistent loser in the ratings. They hope they won't lose in the switch.
Ganett has a pretty good reputation in all their operations, newspaper, radio, television. So I think that bodes well for all of us. But again, it's waiting to see. It's the uncertainty about anything that's new and different. You're just not sure what's going to happen.
In the next year, Ganett will be the one to watch. Tom Hendrick, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
Come down, it will also have a noticeable effect on the new construction industry. One economist predicts that if everything works out right, 1983 housing starts could increase by 25% nationwide. Debbie Ely, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
Over the years, foreign imports have taken their toll on the automotive and steel industries. And now their next target may very well be the nation's mushroom growers. More and more these days, the pizzas we buy are being topped with mushrooms from the People's Republic of China. In fact, the sales of Chinese mushrooms have skyrocketed, so much so that the entire matter has ended up before the U.S. International Trade Commission because the nation's mushrooms growers claim the competition from China is putting them out of business.
China is devastating us. Labor over there is 27 cents a day. They give the people a bicycle and a bowl of rice and a roof over their head and a job. There's no unemployment in China. Everybody works, but you only make 27 cents a day. And we can't compete with that.
Despite the claims by many farmers that Chinese canning techniques are faulty, major U.S. buyers, some of them, such as Pizza Hut, argue that the Chinese mushrooms are actually superior to ours.
Well, with record grain crops anticipated for this year, you might think that grain transporters, truckers, railroads, and barge operators would be sitting pretty. Jim Newman tells us that's not the case.
Farmers facing ruinous commodity prices are into storing grain these days, not shipping grain to market, and the transportation industry is feeling the pinch. Agricultural trucking this year is down 23% over the first 7 months of last year. True, the U.S. government will give truckers a boost in business at harvest time this year. Grain forfeited by farmers in lieu of federal loan payments must be hauled to government storage bins, but even that may be a mixed blessing for truckers. Truckers fear the sudden demand will create a bottleneck at elevators and result in costly delays. In general, the outlook for agricultural truckers is bleak. Some Minnesota trucking companies may be forced out of business soon.
If this thing continues on for much longer, there will be a lot more of the small truckers going out of business. And certainly if they're not around when the market does turn around, the farmer will have limited options. And one of those would be purchasing his own equipment and getting into the trucking business.
Railroads are also feeling the impact of the downswing in grain shipments. Though Burlington Northern boosted its share of the grain transport market 30% this year, its overall grain business is down. Burlington Northern analysts believe it may be 2 years before the grain market improves. Barge companies may be the most seriously affected grain shippers. Their business is down 80 to 90%. Operators are exploring ways to offer barges as floating storage bins in a move to ride out the depressed market. Jim Newman, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
Western brings back Hawaii for $100 round trip.
Western's done it again. Hawaii for $100 round trip is back. To qualify, just buy and use any full fare round trip ticket before October 1 on any Western Airlines domestic flight at least 300 air miles one way. Then you can fly to Hawaii for $100 round trip on any day between September 14th and March 23rd, except the Christmas holiday period.
Western's $100 Hawaii round trip.
Hello, Mildred. Back to hula skirts.
Electricity. Maybe we could live without it, but think about what it does for us every day. It runs a sewing machine that creates new clothes. And it also takes electricity to stitch together yards and yards of sail, to capture the wind and enrich our leisure hours. Electricity. Maybe we could live without it, but think of all the things we'd be living without.
We're in Chicago discussing the murders of 4 women in El Salvador and the consequence for the future. We aren't using our clout to find out who did this.
The resolution of this crime has been a major objective of our government.
We'd like to see justice done.
Do you think we're ever going to resolve this thing?
No, because it strikes at the heart of the system.
And we hope you'll join us.
The replay, as we have come to know it, is not the exclusive property of television sports departments.
Not anymore.
If you were one of those, as I was, who slept through that, what I found out was a lovely rain this morning, we're going to get it again, right?
Woke me up about 4 o'clock and I just laid in bed and listened to it rain. It felt so good.
You have a
This is what
tin
was
roof?
going on. No, some downspouts though that kind of rattle around in the
this
rain.
is a pretty sound.
It really was a nice soaking rain all across the southern half of the state.
That was it, huh?
That was it, as it moved on to the east. But that lasted up until around noon today before it finally started clearing out and breaking up. And we ended up with 86/100 of an inch officially at the airport. That's the most since May the 12th, believe it or not, for a day anyway. And many areas in the Twin Cities had upwards of an inch and even more in a few locations. This is the WeatherNet area. You can see that Annandale only had 1900ths of an inch, but Hutchinson came in with 1.06, St. Peter 1.23, 1.35. Over in Durand, Owatonna had 8500ths of an inch. So it was a nice 3/4 to an inch and a quarter rainfall that we had.
Good soaker.
We could have used it a couple of weeks ago, a little bit more, I think, than we could have used it today, but it was nice at any rate. 75 degrees was our high, 61 for low, 8600ths officially in the precip bucket, and sunrise in the morning will be at 6:26 with sunset at 8:03. We've had quite a change take place in just the last couple of hours. Our temperature dropped about 7 degrees in 1 hour. We're now down to 65 with the humidity of 63%, northwest winds at 6 and a barometer reading of 29, 9.8 and the barometer is rising. Around the 5-state area, some current temperatures. A little cooler to the north. We have had a cool front move through us. In fact, just within the last 2 hours, the front moved on south of us, and that's just reinforcing the cooler air that we said was going to be in over us on Wednesday. We still think with the sunshine around that we should warm back up into the low 70s tomorrow. So we're looking at a nice day, maybe a few scattered showers and some thunderstorms around. Our WeatherNet high temperatures, you can see that we have had generally temperatures in the 70s. That was held down because of the cloud cover and the rainfall that we had, but the temperature rose very quickly after we did get the sunshine late this afternoon. Sandstone up in the sunshine most of the day reached 77 today. Around the rest of the country, a big area of 70s across this region, 80s, 90s, 100s down to the south, a big area of 80s out in the west. Portland, Oregon reached 98 degrees today. It was very, very hot out in the west, and some of that warm air eventually might make it our way. We'll keep you posted of that. Nothing showing up on our radar within 180 miles of us. Let's take a look, though, at the satellite picture. It was interesting to watch, first of all, the thunderstorms that were out in the Dakotas last night moving across us. This was our rain. That frontal system moved fairly rapidly onto the east, and now showers and thunderstorms scattered along that front all the way back down into New Mexico. You can see here on the U.S. radar map where the showers are over in Wisconsin and down through the Mississippi and Ohio River Valley areas. We had reports of at least a half a dozen tornadoes in central Illinois and over into central Indiana tonight. So all along this front, the little low pressure area, showers and thunderstorms, rain generally throughout that entire region, all the way back into the southwest again, where rains are beginning to cause them some problems. They've now had some very heavy rainfall amounts in portions of southern Nevada, southern Utah, Arizona, and causing some problems, a lot of roads being washed out back in that region. Tomorrow's high temperatures back up into the 70s for us, big area of 80s to the south. Our forecast map does indicate that that little secondary front that has just moved through us will continue to move on to the east. We will get some partial clearing in behind it tomorrow for a mostly sunny day with shower activity confined mainly to the northern portion of the region. Forecast tonight, mostly clear. We expect a low of 53 degrees. Check that. Tomorrow we'll have a slight chance of showers in the afternoon and evenings. Otherwise, we'll have a fair day tomorrow with the winds out of the west-southwest at 5 to 15, getting back up to the mid-70s, 75 degrees. Our extended outlook calls for partly cloudy conditions then on into the weekend. Still running a little bit on the cool side, high temperatures from the upper 60s to the low 70s, and it looks like still Thursday and Friday, the first couple of days of the fair, are going to be a little on the cool side.
All right, it'll come back. It always does. Labor Day's a scorcher there, isn't it?
School starts and it goes boom.
That's right. Listen, when school starts in Litchfield, Minnesota this year, the rah-rahs and the 76 trombones will be heard and seen after all. The district had planned to cut all extracurricular activities after residents had voted down a tax levy, but some parents decided to raise money to retain those activities. Hundreds of volunteers helped with the fundraising. They needed 120,000 clams. They have now netted 100,000 in cash and pledges. The rest, they say, will come from the gate receipts. And the first football game will be played September 3rd.
When we play a rugby game, win or lose, we always go for a blue ribbon.
Hits the spot after those softball games. You start surfing until the tide comes in, and then you go grab a cooler of Pabst.
When I'm playing ball, I'm not a lady out there. I'm a ball player. Pabst is the perfect way to end the day after sailing.
You know, I know each hole that I win is going to be one more Pabst for me when I get in the clubhouse.
After the racquetball, we'll go home, take off our shoes, and pop a top on a Pabst.
Anytime you want to roll out a keg of Pabst, we'll have a practice.
Money. Money can be had in many ways. For example, this simple shoebox. It contains a pair of athletic shoes from Conco. When you buy this pair of athletic shoes during the Conco $1 million sale, you save money. If you buy 2 pair, you will save more money. If you buy lots of name brand athletic shoes during the sale, you'll save lots of money. If you buy thousands of athletic shoes, you'll save thousands. The Conco $1 million sale is now in progress.
Taxi! Armbruster. I was the best salesman I ever had.
Great. I've got my own company and sales are really climbing.
Want to guess how?
Since Bell repriced 800 service for small businesses, we've opened new markets all over. They see our toll-free number, they call, and we've got a new customer.
Sound familiar?
As part of our telemarketing program, 800 service brings down the cost of selling.
Taught him everything he knows. I care.
Bell 800 service. It's another way to get things done today.
The high yield of a repurchase agreement, the convenience of a TCF PassGuard checking account. Now you'll get both with TCF's new cash management account. You earn money market rates on your funds, and the instant you need cash, a phone call transfers as much as you need in $500 minimums to your PassGuard checking account. Instant liquidity, money market rates, plus the strength and safety of Twin City Federal. The new TCF cash management account.
Well, it was a night to remember for one of the Twins pitchers.
Frankie Viola, where would you like to pitch a shutout? Your first in the major leagues in your backyard. Frankie Viola of the Twins, the left-hander, did it tonight at Yankee Stadium. 5-0, the Twins over New York. And, of course, he pitched at St. John's in New York, where he was 10-0 as a senior. ERA led the NCAA. The Twins have a bona fide major league left-hander. Well, it was a scoreless duel between Viola and Tommy John of the Yankees till the 7th inning. At Yankee Stadium, Lenny Faedo here singled, and Tim Loudner rumbled around third. Dave Winfield's rifle arm, not enough. Actually, the relay throw goes wild, allowing the Twins to take a 1-0 lead. Following a sacrifice bunt, which moved Faedo to third, John Castino, opposite field single there. Faedo's run makes it 2-zip. Gary Ward here, an opposite field home run, his 22nd homer of the year in the 8th inning, and that makes it 3-0 for the Twins. And coming up is another home run by the Twins. John Castino, a 2-run shot in the 9th, and this one, the second and third RBIs of the night for Castino, making the score 5-0 at that point. Viola getting Greg Nettles right there to pop up to end the ball game. Viola is 4-4 in the season. As we said, he pitched at St. John's in New York and is now 4-4. Ricky Henderson, the master thief of the American League, collected a couple more stolen bases this afternoon and leading Oakland to a 3-0 win over Detroit. Last night, Henderson swiped his 115th base of the season. Today, the Oakland speedster made it 116 and 117, so he's now within 1 of tying and 2 of breaking the all-time mark of 118 set by Lou Brock when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, on the American League scoreboard, we told you about the Twins and the Oakland scores. Cleveland 13-5 over the White Sox. They are in the 5th inning of a rain-delayed game. And it is Toronto 7, Baltimore 7, Toronto 3, and Joe Nolan has just hit a grand slam home run in the 10th inning for Baltimore to win that one. Kansas City leading Texas 3-2. They are in the 7th. Milwaukee, California, Boston, Seattle just starting. National League this afternoon, Chicago, the Cubs over San Francisco 8-4. Bill Buckner hit another home run. San Diego and Pittsburgh are 5-all. They're in the 11th. Gary Carter's 25th home run helped Montreal beat the Reds 5-1. Atlanta stays on top of the National League West, 9-7 over Philadelphia. L.A. wins 5-2, and it's Houston 5-4 over New York. Gaylord Perry, the original greaser of the Major League pitchers, is still claiming foul after being ejected from last night's Seattle game against Boston on the West Coast. Today, he was given a 10-day suspension and a $250 fine. Umpire Dave Phillips took one look at Perry's pitch that zigzagged and did strange things, gave the Ancient Mariner the heave-ho in the 7th inning last night. Perry acknowledged the fans, and after the game said Phillips, well, he just plain blew it. Local businessman Tom Scallon of Minneapolis says he has applied to the new U.S. Football League for a franchise to play in the Dome. And Scallon's biggest hurdle will be to get the Vikings to waive their clause in their contract for exclusivity in the Dome Stadium.
The public wants football here in this new league. This will bring revenues for you. This will bring concession sales for you. This will bring business to the merchants for parking, for food, for beverages, for the community, for people visiting the city. This is good for the city, and we also think that such a agreement to keep us out is illegal.
Right now, the Vikings are saying they have the right, so it could end up in court.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. And finally tonight, it took a jury in Houston, Texas, just 20 minutes to convict an 82-year-old great-grandmother of felony possession of marijuana. And it took less than 30 seconds for the judge to say he would not pass sentence. Laura Clark was convicted of growing marijuana in her vegetable garden. In fact, it was quite a harvest of marijuana. Mrs. Clark told the judge she thought the seeds she had planted were herbs and that a relative had brought them to her. The maximum penalty is 10 years and a $5,000 fine, but the judge said no 82-year-old woman is going to prison out of my court. And on that note, we're going to say goodnight for this edition of the 10 p.m. report.
Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
This is Carol Burnett. Please join me with my guests David Hartman and Paula Kelly on Carol Burnett and Friends.
Tonight at 10:30, followed by Alice at 11 here on Channel 4.
When you barbecue something this expensive, don't take a chance on ruining the taste. Use Wizard Charcoal Lighter, and you'll taste the food, not the fuel. Wizard Charcoal Lighter starts quickly and burns off clean in minutes. So Wizard won't ruin your meat with an unpleasant taste. All you get is the natural charcoal broil flavor. So don't take a chance on ruining a great piece of meat. Get Wizard, because with Wizard, you'll taste the food, not the fuel.
This is Gary Collins on the next Hour Magazine.
They have a need for work, and they have a need for love, and work is the strongest mistress of all.
Dr. Joyce Brothers tells why a job is a man's best friend.
More men who are fired commit suicide because they've lost a job than commit suicide because they've lost a wife or a child.
Plus David Horowitz and more. We make every hour count for you.
Join the celebration. Labor Day weekend.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.